Welcome to Are We the Only Ones? I'm Kathy, and oh my God, is there a lot to talk about today? I'm going to talk about something that we've been talking about forever on this pod, literally from the inception, is the Epstein files and Donald Trump's involvement. I also think it's really interesting how many things have come together that I hypothesized connections like the Rothschild banking family and how things get funded. Money is the only way that operations like this can even exist. So, it had to take serious money, like top one percenters money, and collaboration with governments. But most of all, what you have to understand is if you're investing in something, you're going to make sure that that investment is protected, especially if you're talking about serious, serious capital. And it goes to show that things cost so much that in order for them to run, a black market operation almost must exist in order for things of that magnitude and size and scope to be able to function. So I did not report immediately because I wanted to see how everybody was going to react. I think part of me, after being in my own court case where I was vindicated and my predator was found guilty. But the reality of my situation was that even though he was guilty, unanimously found guilty by a jury of his peers, all military peers, he still got to retire with the lowest rank officer pay, but he still got to retire. He didn't go to jail. So my situation, he used classified material as part of the grooming process. And I didn't buckle, I didn't cave because I am better at keeping secrets for the government. I was found to be the more trustworthy person between the two of us. And then he confessed everything. So, knowing my history, I am a little bit cautiously optimistic whenever things like this start unraveling because I don't know for sure, even if the victims get full justice, even like we need to understand something. And I'm going to maybe just express it to you all so you understand it fully. The victims in the Epstein case are the primary victims, but we as a nation, as a global human civilization, we are all survivors of this elite, I can't even believe I'm saying this, satanic cult that worship Baal, Baal. And I had seen these and I had been posting these things and I was just kind of like waiting to understand what is this? Because I was raised a Catholic and and partially Buddhist, and so it's not part of that. And I immediately turned away from my Catholicism upbringing when everything happened with their pedophile priests. So I'm very consistent in where my spiritual faith lies. And one of the things that it it is very difficult as well to be a parent right now and not be able to explain what's going on, but yet know the danger for our children is very real, but not be able to explain it because it'd be so scary. And I mean, the most I can do is explain like Roblox, be careful, don't say anything to anybody about our address, things like that. But when you realize the depth and magnitude of this, like if you have ever tried to audition for like a movie role or an acting role or a singing role. For, I've done both. I've auditioned for a record label, got a record deal, decided not to go for it. Why? Because apparently a different animal in terms of finding my vocation. I've been offered, I got offered a 30-day booking for Memoirs of a Geisha. Steven Spielberg was the director. I declined because I didn't want to be asked to end up being nude or naked on camera. And I just had a feeling based on the subject matter that that might come up. And I just didn't want to be put in that position because I knew I don't know if I would be able to say no because I'm looking at Steven Spielberg on a movie set. And the pressure of that for me, for someone else who's willing to do it, no problem. If you're willing to do it, that's great. I just wasn't, and I just knew I couldn't put myself in that situation. And that's a completely consensual situation in the terms of professionalism. But even I understood the weight and seriousness of that. Now, take opportunity, talent away, and you're not raised in an environment where you have access to these types of auditions easily. So you can't just wait for the next opportunity. You come from a third world nation, Eastern European bloc. Perhaps the only upward mobility is to get married, which is not uncommon. It's not just one race or culture that has to face upward mobility as a female through marriage or through modeling or through something like that, right? But not like a job in which somebody has to give you an opportunity, somebody with power, and you have to hope that that person with power has integrity, right? Every single one of these women that cross paths with these people happen to cross paths with a person that did not have integrity and plan to use their leverage to get sexual favors. And when these men had basically gone through so many experiences that they got bored, either they were pressured in terms of like a groupthink situation, or it's the idea that it's forbidden fruit. As a female, we have always known like there's something about virginity that men make it's like the hope diamond, right? In terms of like everyday social aspect of like small conquering of like men over women. That's one of those things, which justifies to them how you get into younger ages, right? Because irrespective of whatever, it doesn't matter if a girl is dressed up as a pageant chick and she looks older. That does not mean automatically, like when I look at pageant girls, I don't automatically think the things that now we all think as a common understanding in America. That is a predatory type of thing. You're dressing little girls up as adults and it makes men. But I never thought that until it had to be told to me that that's how it's perceived because I just thought of it like whatever, just like a niche subculture competition, whatever, right? Now that we see that, okay, I'm going to start giving you kind of an update on some of the crazy things that are in this file, okay? There are pictures that suggest that maybe John Benet Ramsey could be one of the victims that was abducted. There might be a photo. There was a photo that's been redacted out where Jeffrey Epstein has a little girl on his shoulders wearing the exact same jumpsuit that John Benet Ramsey was wearing in the photo that I think that's the photo of the order. And other photos that look, I guess, like her, but they're redacted, right? So you can't really see, you can see little hints. But that's nothing compared to some of the other things I've seen that were redacted. I mean, trigger warning, serious trigger warning, you guys. There is legitimate email documentation that is being analyzed and read and reported on as an actual occurrence that happened is that they abducted babies, they bred babies so they wouldn't have birth certificates, which checks out because there was the Arcadia Mansion that had a breeding surrogacy program where they had I think 17 children with no birth certificates, or It was either their 17 children that the man had impregnated 17 women to be surrogates to have 17 children, and it was his DNA, or they had done the DNA and there was this total amount of 17 kids that he was related to, and most of them didn't have birth certificates. And at the time when we were discussing it, it was like, why wouldn't you? And I said, well, obviously there's only one real reason why you would not want birth certificates for children is because you're trying to sell them or breed them to do nefarious things. And at the time when I was saying the things I was saying, like, I didn't really think that it would be not only done to the level that it is being done according to this file, but organized and orchestrated in a way where it's almost like if you think of the mafia, how you have the triads, you have the Italian mafia, the Yakuza Japanese mafia, you have, MS-13, you have the Bloods and the Crips. It's like there was a network that was set up like that, but for this elite human trafficking network. And it would make sense that they needed a cryptocurrency or they needed some kind of black market currency to be able to do transactions. And now, according to the DOJ file, Jeffrey Epstein, which now I look back and it makes perfect sense because I had said, who has the money to fund this? And I remember thinking, the only banking family I know that has money to do this and concentrate everything is the Rothschild family. That's the only family I know that controls more than 50% of the wealth of the world who would do it. But I didn't know. I was just kind of like, that's who it would be. To find out that Jeffrey Epstein actually had talked to the Rothschild family and was asking to be their financial consultant. Also, People magazine reported that Vladimir Putin also used Jeffrey Epstein as a financial consultant, and he was also requesting to be considered by the families in the UAE to be their financial consultants. Now, you have to understand, if you're controlling all that money from all these people at the same time, you move markets. Like, you move markets. If they all invest in one thing, is that stock, fund, index, currency, commodity, whatever, will go up. And if they want to hedge it to bet that it'll drop, they can also sell it. It'll drop. They would make money on the drop. Like, this is how much moving of markets. Okay, I used to trade currency. I'm not an expert. My dad was good enough that he created a robot that he sold to Forex that traded. But it was like, this is so I understand to a certain extent how the markets work when something like this can occur, if you can consolidate all this power. And the fact that there are emails from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell talking about Bitcoin, creating Bitcoin, having secured financing to back the Bitcoin, having the Japanese ghost name, sort of like pen name, Ghost Rider name. I remember thinking the only reason Bitcoin and crypto would be created is because you have to do human trafficking. That's the only reason why it would be worth the trouble to create it, worth the trouble to maintain it, worth the trouble to go through all the things. And also, I was wondering who in the world would not want to take credit for something like this? I thought the only reason the person would not want to take credit for creating Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency market is because they control so much wealth that they don't want people to know that they're doing it because it works better for them to not have people know. And most likely, they are also doing things that are so illegal and so inhumane and so disgusting that they have to be anonymous to create it. And the anonymity is also what gave the cryptocurrency more power, I feel like. I have never traded in crypto. I think I have a crypto wallet someone created for me because I tried to do some kind of hiring thing and they created it for me. I don't know, whatever. But I don't really understand crypto, so I never invested in it. But there was a reel that I've posted that on my Instagram account that talks about, if you only knew this guy, he's like, if you knew who I know, he's like, I know who it is behind Bitcoin. If you knew who it was, you would sell it immediately. And lo and behold, once the news broke that this was in the DOJ file, Bitcoin plummeted about $10,000 in value. It has since recovered a little bit, but everybody who is investing in that has to look at themselves and understand, like, this is not a maybe. You are doing something, facilitating something, propping up something evil. No, you 100% are. 100%. If you're dealing in cryptocurrency at all, you have blood on your hands. You have blood of the children. The photos that I saw of these little kids, there's a video of these little girls. They're like ages like 7 to 9, wearing skimpy little like Greek Roman bikini type of things, like really skimpy ones. And they're carrying buckets of water and pouring into like a spa, centralized spa water thing that looks like a Greek weird bathhouse. And I saw some crazy, like, there's emails in this file talking about cannibalism. Like, I can't even believe I'm saying it. Because that I did not actually think was going to be good. I thought definitely like gross sex stuff of every kind. I thought people, gender was not in question, sexual was not in question. Even like, I tried to make my mind. It never occurred to me cannibalism. Never occurred to me. And then I saw photos that had redacted in the main, but they didn't redact it well enough. So I saw what was a human leg in between two chickens, and people were saying it's a baby. And I was like, dude, those are turkeys. That is not a baby's foot. The foot is too developed to be a baby foot. A like a more grown person, and those are turkeys. And then later I saw another photo of a actual that same redacted image underneath there. I don't even know how to say this because it's so gross, but done like a Thanksgiving turkey, but not even like hidden, like and so there's a picture of Mountbatten Windsor, Andrew, in front of it, and I believe it's a male human that is looks like they've been roasted like a turkey, like straight up. And I'm like, no way. And as I'm seeing interviews from different celebrities that, like, yeah, they met people that are like that, they've done that, they don't ever get near people like that. I was just like, oh my God. I am so glad that I stayed away. When I got offered the record deal, I didn't take it. I got offered that movie, 30-day booking, didn't take it. I am so glad that I did not go deeper into the world when I was younger and impressionable, because I don't know how I would have not crossed paths with these people. I'm glad I went to fashion instead. I chose between fashion, music, and film, TV. I still do film, TV stuff, but not where I wanted people to have leverage over me, because I knew it was dangerous. I just knew. And I find myself so fortunate that I actively chose not to go into that life. There were definitely moments where I could feel when I was in the fashion industry, I could feel like, I think there's a level. I remember saying to my husband, I think there's a level that you get to when you're at this like high, like new ingenue, breaking through into the film and TV world. And because when I was doing fashion on red carpet, I was literally dressing people for the Emmys, the Grammys, the Golden Globes, and the Oscars. Sometimes the MTV Awards, but like those, when you dress MTV Awards celebrities, you don't really see a return on the sales. So that's why like MTV, you don't really, usually it's like Oscars, Emmys, Golden Globes, where you'll see like sales will increase when you dress somebody for those events. And so I would end up crossing the paths that would cross of people, not only the A-listers, but also their assistants. And when I could see their assistants or their family members, that's when I really got an inside look of like, what is this life? And everybody changes. Everybody seems to change around them. Their parents become fans. Their children are fans, and they start like negotiating with they start trading on their name. And it becomes sort of like almost parasitic, I'll be honest with you. And I really feel for people that are famous, because they have to constantly like defending, themselves. Like people are always asking things. And so I thought, okay, well, when you get to that point, it must be like even with the highest levels, where no matter how rich you are, no matter how successful you are, there is a pecking order that can be formed if you care. And if you care and you buy into that, it can take a hold of you. And that's what's happened. I have to assume not everybody was like immediately down to be that way. Like I watched Eyes Wide Shut with completely different sensibility. Knowing that Stanley Kubrick died 3 days after the movie premiered is an important thing to note. I believe that sometimes it's better to not be that successful. Maybe you're, everybody that's like trying to hustle hard, trying to like get to the, even like I remember the reference being like lifestyles of the rich and famous, and we all trying to be like in that league. And now to find out that Robin Leach, yeah, according to the DOJ file, allegedly strangled a girl, like raped a little girl and strangled her, possibly to death, allegedly. And so I think that all of us that have been hustling but like didn't make it to that whatever elite level where we think we all want to be, thank God. Thank goodness that we were spared from that craziness. And thank God that we have, leverage. If you have a little bit of um, money that you can say, I don't need to do that, or enough strength and believe in yourself, like I don't have to do something I don't want to do that makes me feel that I'm betraying myself, that is the greatest win and gift that you could give to yourself. And I think that's something that we can reflect upon seeing this entire thing. Every single one of those girls that was a victim was a talented girl who was actually going through her career path and crossed paths with a man who was going to help them, but he wanted something in return. And it was really a deal with the devil because you would literally almost feel like you're selling your soul to this man. And in a world where we put so much weight on success and careers, maybe we have to also look at it like it's more important to own yourself than it is to take a gamble and risk. Like when you can tell, when you know it's bad, get out. I it's possible when I would tell people that I had these opportunities, a lot of people would tell me that they couldn't believe that I walked away and never pursued them further. But for me, it just didn't feel right. And so I think that there's something to be said about women following their intuition. I think we can learn a lot from not having groupthink, seeing all these really, what we have been conditioned to look at all these people as very, very successful and that we should want to emulate to be like them. They turned out to be people that we should absolutely not look up to, absolutely try to be nothing like. I think what we've learned is that the people that have done these things and the people that still make excuses for this behavior or haven't completely walked away have serious mental issues, serious mental health issues. If this is not a referendum to say we need mental health care, national funded, we will end up with a cycle where we have these crazy lunatics because it is a symptom of having serious mental illness is to be extremely racist, extremely narcissistic, extremely Machiavellian. I think that we have to actually look at it like you should be ashamed of yourself for thinking like this, that there's actually something wrong with your brain, that your brain might be broken and you need to seek help. There's no other way around it. If you have looked at the pictures, if you've looked at the files, I'm going to post some of this stuff if for the subscribers only that are paid because it's just a lot. The images are extremely disturbing. There's a picture of a little girl who's smiling because she doesn't know she's about to be sacrificed. And in the photos I have of her after her skin is either like has been skinned off on her face or it's an acid that's been spilled on her face. And she looks terrified. She's extreme because she just realizes she's not getting out of this. There's video and interviews of young kids that have been raised in these cults and talk about what they had to do. And they had to actually hurt babies. And one of them talks about having to take her hand with her dad's hand. Her papa put his hand on top of her hand and made her decapitate think it was a newborn. So these are things, I mean, I think maybe this will just be a paid episode, fully paid, because the stuff in here is so extreme. Like, this is the problem. What we were talking about is so sensitive that, like, if you would even remember the word pedophile alone, if you would say it, people didn't want to talk. They were just like, it was the messenger that had to take responsibility for the wording, not for the actual, not for like sharing the info. Now we're desensitized enough because we've been trying to call for these Epstein files to be released that the word pedophile does not end the conversation. We can actually continue talking through it. But now what we're talking about is like actual details of the crazy stuff that happened. And there's something to be said about the methodology of like speaking something into like the 3.5 million documents being dumped in front of us. There's a methodology to that as well, which is sort of speaking back to what I was referring to, which is I'm waiting to see, because you can get someone to say we did it, admit to it, be found guilty of it, and you may not necessarily see like a real punishment. And so we have to see right now how long. I mean, the punishment is coming no matter what. It's just how long will America take before we actually punish our own? We have to clean our own house. We look ridiculous. Right now, France is freezing the assets of Elon Musk because they went to the X offices in France and they are charging him with colluding to steal an election and also for child sex abuse material, as they should. I think that is what we need to do. As someone who is from Silicon Valley, I'm telling you right now, if there is a tech titan that has been found in the files to be doing something extremely illegal, especially with children, or doing anything like that, even covering it up or being an accessory, their assets should be frozen and seized immediately. And there should be money paid to the victims immediately out of that money. And we need to fund our own separate group of police force, essentially, to do that. I just need to keep having faith that we're not going to let him get away with it. My biggest fear is it's going to be like a Tom Girardi situation where Trump is going to go to like a mental institution. He'll be so delusional and demented he won't even know what's happening. I want him to know what happened. I want him to understand. I want him to be accountable because he has to be. He is in one person trying to take down the Constitution, has committed treason, has committed rape multiple times, is a pedophile, has talked about being interested in if he could be incestuous with his daughter. He has committed all kinds of violations of fraud, waste, and abuse, and as a sitting president, has looted the American economic system. There are so many bribes happening. In one person, every single bad scenario that you could have foreseen in the Constitution, he's activating it and then creating even more scenarios that were not considered because they thought the founding fathers never thought. Founding fathers could not foresee that Congress would align themselves with him. They couldn't see the judicial system not being able to hold up separately. So this is a fight for our lives right now. I think that we are seeing an unraveling. Trump he had posted a very racist video of both of the Obamas, Michelle and Barack Obama, which to me was like so obviously stupid because it was just dumb. And yes, it's offensive. Of course it's offensive, but one, they're so regal. President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama are so amazing and regal and just above reproach that you do something like that. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But what it really told me was that Donald Trump knows that the walls were caving in on him, because the only reason he would do something like that is because he's so desperate, because he knows he's going to go to jail. They have decided to release the unredacted files to Congress on Monday. And it's actually funny. That's my son's birthday. And so I have a lot to look forward to on that day. I hope that, as a parent, I really want to see these men be held to account for the crimes against children. As a mother, I would feel safer knowing that this would be the case, that they would be held accountable for murder, rape, kidnapping, cannibalism, and then everything underneath there that would facilitate all that. We have to demand, and we actually have to take action, you guys. Honestly, Democrats, I've never considered having to take advantage of the Second Amendment, but like it's for the first time in my life, I'm actually thinking about it. I haven't done anything yet, but I'm thinking about it. That's crazy for me. And the thing that you have to understand is that because I was with the military as a spouse, they had like GI Jane days, and I got to, like, I'm familiar and I'm actually good. So I was the only female. I was only a spouse that was able to hit the target, a rifle like hundreds of yards away. So like, there's a lot of us that are pacifists, but if we have to defend our country, we're thinking about it, which is something we never thought we'd have to do before. So that's something to consider. And I think that ultimately our country will unify as Americans. We're more Americans than we're Republican or Democrats. We're Americans that believe in all, honestly, I think we do ultimately believe in like having the best of the best. And having the best of the best means you can't decide that one race gets to feel like it's unfair. You're trying to get every group an opportunity so that you can pick the best to be able to solve whatever problem we're trying to solve. That's the only way. I mean, the reality is this, like, for instance, if you want to go to outer space and meet new worlds and have like the future, if Star Wars is really possible, we can't be racist. You can't be racist and then have a forward technology facing society in which you would explore other galaxies. You can't be racist. Like, it doesn't make sense. So we need to recognize that in order for us as a humanity to move forward, we have to once and for all explain and crush this idea that this like superior single race, it's the human race. It's not like this color is better. Red, we're going to war over red and yellow and orange and green and purple. We're going to war. We're going to war over pink. We're going to, like, what? That's what it is. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why do we care about that? So what we need to focus on is we all agree that this new information that is so disgusting and almost impossible to wrap our minds around, we have to process, wrap our minds around it, understand this is real, as much as I wish it was not. Believe me, I wish this was not real, but it is. And the reality is, we have to have courage and stand up. We did not have people die on battlefields, march and get hurt, get maimed recently and previously for us to, when it really matters, just let it happen. Thank God for the other countries who have decided to band together and hold these people responsible in their governments. But yeah, it's coming.